Hi, what's going on? My name is AJ. Artistically, I'm known as Void Ripper. The persona, I guess, that I perform under is called Void Ripper, and I do a lot of shows locally, actually. Well, I do a lot of recording stuff, and I've been in the scene for like a decade doing like rock band stuff. I never want to say no with music. It's hard because part of me, I do have, God, not to sound pompous or pretentious, but I have taste. There's something that if I don't think it'll sound good or if I dislike it, I'm not gonna really like advocate for it to be in a song or something. But I've been having a great time teaching my partner how to make music because they have never touched a DAW before. They've never touched a laptop before as far as like music or anything like that. They're not a musician, but they're a great singer. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I don't know, just flex the muscle, let me teach you. And so it's taught me so much patience to be teaching somebody like how to do music. But it's also made me think outside of the box. You know, back when I was doing, I used to do robotics in college for a little bit. And a lot of the best ideas came from us, the younger students, it was just a fresh eye, you know. And I think people who are too, people who know too much, so to say, but like experts, you always need a fresh eye, because I'll be the first person to say like, in music, I'm not an expert, but I've been doing it a while, and like something I won't even think of or something that I'll say, no, that's ridiculous, we have a better way to do that, often has come up with some of the better results, you know, like one of my best songs, actually, the song that has gotten me the most opportunities, can I swear?
Please.
There's a swear in the song title.
100.
Yeah. So the song is called BITCHCRAFT. It's about a really horrible experience I had removing myself from a pretty abusive situation with a really crappy person. And my current partner being the one to help get me out of that situation, I was like, hey, why don't you do vocals on this song? Your voice sounds great. It fits kind of the genre. Like, I'm cool with it. And at first I was trying to be too complex with the melody of it, but they ended up, it was like a very, what was it? It's like, you know, the old schoolyard taunt of somebody putting their hands up like this and going, na 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 na. And they were doing that, but like in the key of the song. And I have a recording on my phone when I was just like, I had it on in the background while we were trying to write this thing. And I was like, wait, do that again. And I was like, just typing the lyrics to it. And they were like, na 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 na. And I was like, crystal ball can see you. And I was like, no, keep doing that. And and then that song, BITCHCRAFT, I ended up submitting that to like there was a producer camp. Actually, the very hoodie that I'm wearing that says The Record Co.
The Record Co, there it is.
These guys in Boston, they were hosting a production camp with Kimbra. And if you don't remember or know, Kimbra was one half of the people that did Somebody That I Used to Know. Yes. Although, I mean, her album Vows was one of my favorites. It was introduced to me in high school, and I was like, holy crap. So that was the first time I ever gave it a shot, you know, professionally, because I literally, it's me, my laptop. I didn't buy legitimate software to do this. So I was very fortunate to, I've always sort of had like in me the desire and drive to create, you know, whether it be drawing. That was like my earliest thing, was drawing and stuff. But my father was a drummer who had a whole drum kit set up in the basement, and he was like a session musician for studios, kind of on the side. But in his youth, he toured, he did stuff with bands, like he was all over the place. So I spent a lot of my childhood sitting on the seat of a drum kit, listening to like my dad's like 45s and like helping him repair, like he would show me how to repair like ham radios, and like I learned a lot from him with that, actually. And my mom she had taken piano lessons way back in the day, which is like, it really undermines how good she actually was at it. Like she was like, oh yeah, because I don't want to say, oh, she's classically trained, because I guess she's not, but we just always had instruments in the house. So tinkering with the piano and my dad's drums was often just what I would do. And I remember I think it was like maybe, I feel like I was 10 years old, and my mom was on the phone. She like picked up the house phone and she yelled over to me. She's like, hey, do you still want to play drums? And I was like, yeah, but we already have dad's drum kit. Can you get me a keyboard? I want to play synthesizers. Because I remember this is when VH1 was still showing like music videos and stuff. And I remembered seeing the guys with like, it was the stacks of like keyboards and stuff. And I remember thinking, I was like, that's so cool. Yeah, just seeing the Korgs and, you know, I'm like a magpie. I like shiny things. I like lights. So I was like, oh, it's got LEDs on it. Sign me up. But, you know, and just tactility, you know, stuff like that. Like the way that I like to create is very tactile. So I ended up, you know, doing that for quite some time. And my brother was a bass player. And we had his bass in the basement growing up. He's much older than me, so I didn't really like hang out with him too much growing up. But yeah, just playing with his bass like in the basement. And when I was in 6th grade, my dad got me like my first ever little micro dinky bass, and that's the one that I play to this day. Cool. It's like short scale. It's like one of them like this, and because I'm like 5'1", it ended up being the perfect instrument for me through my whole life.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That's so awesome. Void Ripper.
Void Ripper.
AJ Void Ripper.
AJ is Void Ripper.
Oh my
Void
God.
Ripper is me.
How'd the name come? Is that,
So when I was looking for, it took me longer to pick my stage name than it did to pick my government name, actually, which is hilarious. And so it was actually, it's after, there's 2 songs there, which is interesting that I don't remember the artist names actually until people ask me if it's, is it this song by this artist? I'm like, yes, there's 2 songs called Void Ripper, actually, strangely. But one of them was this electronic song specifically. And it was the first song, I remember listening to it, I think I was in college still, and it had come on, and it was the first fully instrumental song that made me, and continues to make me like cry listening. It's just an emotion, it feels emotional to me, which is, I don't know, it resonated. It really heavily resonated. And I always wanted something that was like, this is gonna sound strange, but I always wanted a name that implied an action. So Void Ripper, as in like, I am the one who does this thing. That always just struck me as something I liked. And I just wanted it to be something that I could stylize, you know, something that also was just very me. Something that was very dark, people who know me for real know that I'm a pretty upbeat. I'm a silly goose. Yeah. The Void Ripper doesn't sound like a silly goose.
Well, but you're ripping the void.
Yeah, I know.
So you're actually annihilating nihilism almost.
I am. Yeah. I'm doing kind of the flip-flop of it. Actually, crazy you should mention that, because I just finished, for the first time, I finally watched that movie last night with my friends. Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. I loved it. I thought it was great. But it was really interesting to me. What I enjoyed about it so much is that and I mean, granted, I might have been the message might have, but I think while I was watching it, I couldn't help but think about how, like, the characters were diving into, like, the most extreme, like, depth of nihilism, and then the rubber band snapped back from nothing matters to nothing matters. And I'm like, word, nothing really matters. That's awesome. And so that's actually very helpful, because that is the duality that I struggle with, I think, is I've got a lot of deep, dark muck inside that I'm still wading through and will be wading through for a very long time. But I think it's the silliness, it's the whimsical, that's exactly it. It's ripping into that. That's really kind of been the vibe. And that translates to the music too, because I write very like gritty, dark synth music. I like a juxtaposition. I like duality. I like things like that, where it's sort of like, it's kind of like the song Hey Ya, you know, you've got the most like really hard hitting, like, I won't say depressing, but just very real, very heavy lyrics. And the song's like, and that's cool, you know. A lot of my inspiration too is from like hyperpop and whatnot, which is very, I think, hyperpop is actually, not only is it very like transcoded, but it's very, it is like that, where like a lot of the themes in it, most of it talks about like, it's a lot of hard drugs, it's a lot of like self-deprecation, it's a lot of like, it's pretty aggro themes, but it's like this very bubblegum, poppy, like, it's quick, it's fast, it's bright. So yeah, I'm really into that. I always have to wear tight pants or a baggy shirt, or vice versa. Same thing with the music. If my instrumentals are very deep, dark, gritty, like I kind of I want it to send more of just like a neutral to positive message, or like being like contemplative more than anything. Whereas my song BITCHCRAFT, it's very like, it's synth, it's it's a lot of arpeggios. It's bright. It's poppy. It's got that sort of like pop beat. It's a bitchy song, but the lyrics are about. It was about a very, 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 very dark time in my life and a person who I would be so thrilled to never see again.
Yeah. And may it be so. Yeah.
May it be so.
May it be so. Yeah. Oh, that's fucking fascinating.
Thank you.
The duality and playing within both of those. And then when you were talking about the muck and wading through it, it made me think of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And how that, like, this is the journey of the hero that you're walking through.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that you know, everybody's got, not to be cliche about it, but everybody's got their demons, everybody's got their crap, you know, like things that have happened to them, things that they need to do their own like self-improvement on. And that's hopefully everybody's doing that kind of work for their whole lives. But like, you know, I know that sometimes it does take an event of sorts to sort of like push you to the edge of like that, Jeez, I like looked into his eyes and I lost my train of thought completely. Like he's so cute.
But push to the end of the void.
No, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's definitely I find myself on that kind of the path is coming more into focus over time, and while I'm still refining my sound musically, I'm still refining myself. I'm refining, you know, what I want to do for a career of sorts. I went to school for geology.
Cool.
I was a geologist
Rocks.
Before this.
Wait, what do you like about rocks?
I love things about rocks.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about rocks is that they tell you a story. That's the whole point of the geology. You know, you can look at a rock face, especially in Connecticut. The outcrops are so vibrant. They're so plentiful, especially in like the road cuts for the highways. You know, the layers will tell you a story. The way that they're facing things stacked on other things. There's something that you learn in the very beginning called the law of superposition, in which they're like, please forgive me, my professors, if I'm wrong on this one, but it's the thing.
You can't be wrong.
No, I know you can't be wrong. It's rocks. But you know, it's there's original horizontality, where you can assume all rock layers were originally completely horizontal. So if they are like this now, you have to assume that an event happened to tip them.
Cool.
Superposition is like certain things cutting other things, and like, you know, if a magma body is cutting through, if you like cut open a rock layer and you see all these, if each one of my fingers is like the layer of the earth that you see, if there's something that goes like this through it, you know that these layers deposited first and then this magma body came through second. Maybe this has a shear fracture in it, and that complicates things, because you're like, well, did that shear first or did these layers happen first? You know, there's so many stories to be told in the rocks, and it's just, they're everywhere. You can't avoid it. So like,
yeah,
there's always something, you know.
Yeah.
My other favorite part is they got real silly names. One of my favorite minerals on this earth is called Coming Tonight.
Hey,
and there's
tonight.
There's a shirt that says something to the effect of like, get with a geologist and you'll be, and then it's the whole chemical formula for coming tonight.
Amazing.
And you're like, hell yeah.
Yes,
cool.
fuck yes.
Fuck yeah, rocks.
Oh man.
Yeah. Geologists are very horny. I've been to the conventions.
Why not? You know?
You gotta
rock hard.
Fuck it. Hell yeah.
Why not?
Silly. They also gave us drink tickets for the event, which was, I feel, very telltale.
So good.
Yeah.
So an academic event.
It was it was people presenting their posters. It was a research presentation type conference.
Yes, as it should be.
Yeah, no, as it should be. College was great. Listen, it was cool. It was fun. And
Rock.
Yeah, I miss that. I don't know if I'm ever gonna do that professionally again, because I like.
Yeah, well, but just looking at rocks and being able to understand their stories and being able to speak their language, that's
absolutely
huge.
It's the language of the earth, you know. It's what was here before us, and it's what will be here after us.
Yes.
And we're going to be the thinnest little layer in the rock record, you know, like
the thinnest, silliest little layer.
The silliest, strangest little layer. It's going to be full of plastic, but you know what? There's plastic in my blood and there's plastic in yours.
Yeah, but, unites us all.
Yeah. The rocks will show us that.
Fuck.
Yeah. Geologists of the future got their work cut out for them. They're going to look at this and be like, what happened?
We're made of plastic?
Happened?
Yeah, what is this plastic-based life form?
No, exactly. Like, we're going to be thinking about a bunch of weird shit.
And then plastic surgery and all the silicone.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wonder how that's going to degrade. I wonder how they're going to be like, what's this? They're like, we found it. We found silicon-based life. I feel like maybe there is already. There's definitely arsenic-based life, I think, in like some of the... There's some strange ones. I wasn't a biologist, but I definitely... the most interesting coursework I ever did was a class called Astrobiology. It was taught by 3 professors, and it's what it says on the tin. It was the study of how it's the study of potential for life in the universe and how life on Earth potentially, possibly, maybe came to be, or, you know, all of the catalysts that could be possible. And then we talked about, like, if there are aliens, what's their motivation to either talk to us or not to talk to us? Which, by God, there was a PowerPoint slide that said horny question mark. We always come back to it, but no, for real. So like it was really cool to kind of just understand the mechanisms of life too. And geology encompasses all of that too. Geology encompasses telling time with trees, dendrochronology. It encompasses chemistry. It encompasses mineralogy. Was great because they're also just pretty. People will send me pictures of rocks all the time and be like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm like, I need so much more information than a visual.
Instead of sending nudes, send rocks.
Genuinely, send crystals, send rocks.
Send crystalline structures, yes.
Yes, please.
Atomic structures, please.
Send the silica tetrahedron, please.
Yes. Ooh, getting me hot.
Yeah. And it's not just this room.
No. Oh my God, that's fucking amazing.
Thank you.
When you were talking about the different layers of rock and how how it's shaped can tell you a lot about what happened.
Yeah, totally.
There was someone, I'm just editing the footage of someone who is a architect, and
cool.
They were talking about how the built environment tells you a lot about the power structures within human civilization.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
And who owns lands and stuff.
Yeah.
But then you go even deeper to like
for sure
rock and how the power structures of the earth and the things that are happening. And
well, and the geology also will it sort of defines what you are able to do. Of course, any building project, a geologist is going to get consulted, especially, you know, we're near a shoreline, we're near the ocean, you know, so things like that.
Talk to me about the rocks of this area.
Totally, yeah. So, the geologic history of this area is really interesting. Connecticut itself, you can see a lot of the evidence of, I think there were 3 orogenies, which is another fun word. Orogeny is like a mountain building event of sorts. In this case, it's a bunch of continent pieces squishing into the East Coast. My mentor and one of my favorite professors, Dr. Evans at CCSU, he specifically was studying the shape of the curve of the Pennsylvania salient, which is to say, in the Appalachians in Pennsylvania, there's a part of the rocks where instead of kind of being like, you know, they're kind of folded looking like this.
Yeah.
There's like a huge curve, and I guess he was trying to figure out just why the curve. But up here in Connecticut, you know, it's a lot of bedrock, it's a lot of granite. So I'm from Waterbury, and so Waterbury's directly on one of these like granite type domes. That was what my one of my research projects was on. I would go and I would think, and I would get the rock and I would cut it real thin and look at it under a microscope, and I would say, okay, here's what I think is in this. But more or less, it's a lot of granites for the bedrock. The shoreline is a lot of remnant of the glaciation. There was a glacier that was hanging out here about, I think it was like 20,000 years ago, I think, was when that glacier maybe started to recede. And so, like, our whole coastline, that's why our beaches suck as far as gravel goes. It's glacial moraine, which is the terminal part of the glacier, like the very last part where it kind of touched and dropped all of the rocks and stuff. There's something called, there's like glacial erratics, which is like foreign boulders that it picked up somewhere while it was creeping and then just dropped as it like melted. Cool. So we have a lot of glacial stuff, a lot of East Rock and West Rock. I forget which one, both probably, but one of them that has like 4 peaks. The glacier like plucked pieces off, which is what created those peaks. You can see striations, like scrapey marks where like rocks and things that were stuck under the glacier as it was creeping, like scraped the rocks, you know, things like that. So there was glacial stuff. There was like evidence of like all the orogenies that came through. The Hartford Basin is one of those areas too, where you can see like, because, you know, some people will say like, oh, I'm from the valley, you know, whatever. And we studied even too, like there's like the western and eastern border faults of those basins. So like there's fault lines, there's all types of stuff. There's ocean critters that got dredged up. Like there's I forget exactly where it's at, but when I used to be with my geology club in college, you could see areas where there's fish fossils. There's fish fossils all over the damn place. Cool. And you find it in like the shale layers.
Cool.
But we have those. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Connecticut's also Roxbury and Kent famous for the garnets, the red garnets, which you can also actually find in Woolkit. I've seen them. I've pulled them out of the bedrock. Just the quality depends. But yeah, lots of Lots of metamorphism, so lots of rocks, lots of mudstones, lots of rocks called schist, which is those shiny ones that you see on the side of Route 8 a lot, or like the highway in general, and those like fish scaly ones. That's just like a later stage of the metamorphism of like the rocks getting crushed together. Yeah, it's Connecticut geology is complex. I'm fortunate that I got to learn a lot about it here. Unfortunate that some of like the craziest geology jobs you can get are going to be the ones like all the way out west, which I'm just not in a position prepared to be out west at any time soon.
Yeah. You seem very adamant about not going to LA.
No, for the music, because it's way too saturated out there. Godspeed to my friends that are making music out there. I don't know how they do it, because I'm like, New England felt hard enough to sort of like get a small following and like really get people dedicated to your sound and your music and things. I can't imagine what it's like competing with people out there, Yeah, and it's just I'm very New England in everything that I enjoy and everything that I do, and my whole family's here. Which isn't to say that I don't want to branch out, but I definitely this place is definitely home, and I think I'll always live in New England, no matter what I do. Which is fine, because I'm so happy here.
You know who you are.
Yeah. And I'm happy with that.
Where your roots are.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So cool. Before you leave, how can people find you, follow you, support you?
Yeah, totally. So you can find me, the biggest way to find me on my Instagram, you can follow me at Void Ripper. That's V0ID_RIPPER. And that's kind of the only place I'm really active right now, and you can find all my other links through that. And on Spotify, if you want to hear the tunes, it's Void Ripper, all caps, and it's a picture of me going like,
yeah, so amazing.
Thank you so much.
So cool. So cool.